Love is sacred, love is kind, but love is only a state of mind. It's in your heart and in your soul, where nothing hurts like letting go of all you had, go of all you want, and surrender to a higher cause. And we will jump straight over the field. I know it's right, oh baby, this is how I like to feel. I know it's right, oh baby, this is how I like to feel. I know it's right, oh baby, this is how I like to feel. I know it's right, oh baby, this is how I like to feel. I know it's right, oh baby, this is how I like to feel. Think that it's true, it's all.
Welcome Jackson Park, Chicago. So, meron silang rules, guys. Please respect Jackson Park for the following these rules. So, kailangan nating i-follow yung rules nila. Here we go, cherry blossom. Cherry blossom. Wow. Wow. Let's go. Oh my goodness, guys, so beautiful. Wow. Did you smell something?
Oh, they smell pretty.
Did they?
Take your mask off and smell these. Here, over here.
I didn't smell. I can't smell.
Smell. You don't smell?
I can't.
Oh.
Didn't smell nothing.
It smells like a flower show.
It's beautiful, guys. First time ko nakakita in person cherry blossom. Wow. It's beautiful. So beautiful, guys. Nasaan na yung asawa ko? Oh my God. It's so beautiful. It's beautiful. It's true. New York. Wow. Wow. It's beautiful. So according to Wikipedia, a cherry blossom is a flower of many trees of genus Prunus or Prunus subsiceratus. They are also known as Japanese cherry and sakura. They generally refer to ornamental cherry trees, not to be edible cherry trees. It is considered the national flower of Japan. Wild species of cherry tree are widely distributed mainly in the northern hemisphere. In the mainstream classification in Europe and North America, cherry trees for ornamental purposes are classified into genus Prunus, which consists of about 400 species. In the mainstream classification in Japan, China, and Russia, on the other hand, ornamental cherry trees are classified into genus Ciceros, which consists of about 100 species, separated from the genus Prunus, and the genus Ciceros does not include Prunus salicina, Prunus persica or peach, Prunus mum, Prunus grayana, amongst others. In Europe and North America, however, there were not many wild cherry trees with many large flowers suitable for cherry blossom viewing. Many of them were different from the typical cherry tree shapes and flowers for cherry blossom viewing that people today imagine. In mainland China, there has been a culture of viewing plum blossom since ancient times, and there were many wild species of cherry blossoms, but many of them had small flowers, and the distribution area of wild species of cherry blossoms, which bore large flowers suitable for hanami, was often limited to small area away from people's living areas. On the other hand, in Japan, Prunus speciosa or Oshima cherry and Prunus yamasakura or Yamasakura, which blossom large flowers suitable for cherry blossoms viewing and tend to become large trees, were distributed in fairly wide area of country and close to people's living area. Therefore, it is considered that the culture of viewing cherry blossom and the production of cultivars have developed historically in Japan. Many of the cherry trees currently enjoyed for cherry blossoms viewing are not wild species but cultivar. Because cherry trees have a mutable trait, many cultivars have been created for cherry blossom viewing, especially in Japan. Since the Heian period, the Japanese have produced many cultivars and selecting superior or mutant individuals that were born from natural crossing of wild cherry trees or by crossing them artificially, and then breeding them by grafting and cutting. Oshima cherry, Yamazakura, Prunus pendula, F. ascendens, Sin Prunus Sakura, Edohigan, and so on, which grow naturally in Japan, are easily to mutate, and especially Oshima cherry, which is an endemic species in Japan, tend to mutate into double-flowered, grow fast, have many large flowers, and have a strong fragrance. Therefore, Oshima cherry has produced many sakura called Sato Sakura group as a mother of cultivars because of its favorable characteristics. The representative cultivars whose present species in Oshima cherry are Yoshino cherry and Kanzan. Yoshino cherry are actively planted in Asian countries, and Kanza is actively planted in Western countries. In Europe, from the late 19th century to early 20th century, Collingwood Ingram, an Englishman, collected the studied Japan cherry blossom and created various ornamental cultivars, and the culture of cherry blossom viewing began to spread in the United States. Therefore, cherry blossom viewing began to spread after Japan presented cherry blossom as token of friendship in 1912. Many wild species and cultivars bloom from March to April in Northern Hemisphere. Wild species, even if they are the same species, are genetically different from one tree to another, so that even if they are planted at the same place, there are some variation in that time when they reach full bloom. On the other hand, because a cultivar, which is a clone propagated by grafting or cutting, is genetically uniform, each tree of the same cultivar planted at the same place is in full bloom and scattered all at once. Cultivars tend to be planted for cherry blossom viewing rather than for wild species because of their property of being in full bloom at the same time. In addition, some wild species such as Edohigan and cultivars developed from them are in full bloom before the leaves open, giving a showy impression to the people who enjoy them. Yoshino cherry became popular as a cherry tree for cherry blossom viewing because, in addition to this characteristic of simultaneous flowering and the fact that the flowers are in full bloom before the leaves open, it bears a large number of flowers and grows quickly to become a big tree. Many cultivars of Satuzakura group, whose mother line is Oshima cherry, are often used for ornamental purposes and generally reach full bloom a few days to 2 weeks after Yoshino cherry reach full bloom. The flowering time of cherry trees is thought to be affected by global warming and the heat island effect of urbanization. According to the record of full bloom dates of Yamasakura or the Prunus Yamasakura in Kyoto, Japan, which was recorded for about 1,200 years. The time of full bloom was relatively stable from 812 to 1800s, but after that, the time of full bloom was rapidly become earlier and in 2021. The earliest full bloom date in 1,200 years was recorded. The average peak day in the 1850s was around April 17, but in 2020s it was April 5, during which time the average temperature rose by about 6 degrees or 3.4 Celsius. According to the record of full bloom dates of Yoshino cherry in the tidal basin in Washington, D.C. around 1921, it was April 5, but around 2021 it was March 31. These records are consistent with the record of rapid increase in global mean temperature since the mid-80s. What is the story behind the cherry blossom? The planting of cherry trees in Washington, D.C. originated in 1912 as a gift of friendship to the people of the United States from the people of Japan. In Japan, the flowering cherry tree, or sakura, is an important flowering plant. The beauty of the cherry blossom is a symbol with rich meaning in Japanese culture. In Japan, cherry trees bloom at the end of March or in early April. Wataru Inoue, media coordinator of Consulate General of Japan in Chicago, said via email, "Since the Japan fiscal year for all schools and companies starts in April, cherry blossoms are a symbol of new beginning in Japan. During blossom season, hanami is a part of Japanese tradition where companies, families, and friends gather under the cherry blossoms to eat and drink together while admiring the beauty of cherry blossoms." In 1912, Japan gave 3,000 cherry trees to Washington, D.C. to be planted along the Potomac River. Inoue wrote, "Those trees would be joined by others, and today Washington's Cherry Blossom Festival is a tourist attraction and a widely recognized rite of spring." Beginning in 2013, the nonprofit Project 120 and the Japanese Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Chicago planted the 160 trees in Jackson Park to commemorate the 120th anniversary of 1893 World Fair and 50th anniversary of GCCC in 2016, according to Inoue and the Park District. Other posts for cherry blossom viewing in the Chicago area include the Morton Arboretum, which has about 20 flowering cherry trees along the main drive, about 8 in the Korea collection, and other 50 so nearby, many of them relatively young. Curator of Living Collection Matt Labdell estimated that the trees will be in full flower in the next 10 days or so, but cautioned that estimate could change with the weather. He recommended that the visitors stop by the main desk to check on the flowers and the best areas for viewing. The Chicago Botanic Garden isn't expecting much from its flowering cherry trees this year due to the cold weather, according to Director of Living Plant Documentation Boyce Tankersley, but hundreds of crab apples trees, which look a lot like cherry trees when they bloom. They could be in flower as early as first week of May. At Jackson Park, the flowering cherry trees lined the Columbian Basin and led toward the Wooden Island, home to the Japanese Garden, also known as the Garden of Phoenix. There, several cherry trees frame Sky Landing, a lotus-shaped, stainless steel sculpture by Yuko Ono on the outskirts of the garden. Chicagoans can sample the quiet pleasure of the garden or stay at the Columbian Basin, where the blossoms are thickest. Hopefully, Chicagoans can come up with their own version of what it means to celebrate Hanami, said by Sika. They do it in Washington, D.C., they do it in Japan, so now we can have our own Chicago version. So yun lang guys, mga kaunting kaalaman about cherry blossom. So super ganda talaga niya. Thank you for watching guys. God bless us all and keep safe. Bye. Love you.